The following presentation was made possible by the Alltech Media Group, a Southern California multimedia company providing exponential branding and marketing services to all their clients. The Alltech Media Group understands the value of the 3W strategy, providing their clients proven, trackable results. Let us make it easy for you to grow your business. Visit alltechmedia.com.
Since 2004, he has communicated extensively with California businesses through travel and speaking engagements, developing and implementing an extensive outreach program for members, potential members, and grassroots contacts. He holds a Bachelor of Arts degree in Political Science from Cal State University, Fresno, and is a graduate of the United States Chamber Institutes of Organization Management program. Please join me in welcoming the California Chamber of Commerce Executive Vice President of Corporate Affairs, Dave Kilby.
Hey, before I get going, I want to do something that's very important to us, and I think will be very important to you. Is I want to showcase, as you've already called yourself the coolest city, I want to showcase the fact that in our mind, you have absolutely one of the best chambers of commerce in the state of California. By that, the California Chamber recognizes outstanding excellence of chambers as being an outstanding partner of ours. And we had, there's over 600 chambers in the state of California, and 26 chambers have been designated as a President Circle partner of ours, and that is your chamber. And I would like to bring up your chair, Ron Redford, to receive this little award. Let me tell you a little bit more about that, and I'll get into this reminders for success. We give this designation, this President's Circle Award, to chambers that are outstanding advocates for business. So obviously the chamber does an excellent job in that area, and helping their members comply with California's crazy labor laws. And so Sonia and Cindy and the whole team also, I mean, they're involved in that, but all of you are involved in all of that too. If you're on the Chamber's Government Affairs Committee or anything of that nature, you've played into this too. So it's a great chamber-wide award, and congratulations. What I'd like to do today, so when Cindy said, I said, Cindy, we really want to present this on your turf, in front of your members. We want to present that award. She goes, well, I can't just have you come down and give us 1 minute of an award. So why don't you throw something else at us? I said, well, but does it really have to be legislation? Does it have to be economic development? Or can I kind of get off on a personal Dave thing that I'm seeing out there in the business community now? And that is, I think some people have forgotten some very essential basics of success. I don't know whether it's we're too busy or we're just ignoring it, or, I mean, I think are some essential ingredients to make your business successful that I've seen, at least in my travels, that a lot of business people seem to be forgetting. And so I'm gonna just kind of go through this. It's kind of an old guy from Sacramento giving you his thoughts on some tips that might be important to you, someone on your team, back at your business, to help you all do a better job and succeed in these fierce, competitive, fast-moving, technology, social media-driven times that we're in. I'm going to kind of throw some stuff at you. When I arrived, I was asked, so you're going to share a few cartoons with us? Because some of you folks have heard me speak before, and so I'm not disappointing, I hope. This is, Cindy knows I'm a Disney-aholic, and so I found, it says the shortest ride, the ride with the shortest lines at Disneyland. Welcome to Reality Land. And, you know, this Reminders of Success talk of mine, I'm really fearful of the music coming on because I have about 13 or 14 reminders. I'm only going to get to about 6 today, but this is reality land that we're living in. I think some people go to Disneyland to escape reality land and to get there and return to when they were a kid, but I also think there's some reminders that you all need to know about to succeed in reality land. And the first one is you got to know the rules. Kind of plays into our word that we just gave you. You all have to really know, in this state in particular, you got to know what's going on in HR. You got to know what's going on in legal. You better be careful if you fire somebody. I mean, you got to know where to turn to and know the rules. And so whether it's the chamber helping you with compliance products through our resale program with them, or knowing who to turn to for the answers among the people in the room here. Don't wing it, don't ignore it, don't just say it doesn't apply to me. And there are many businesses that just say, I don't want to know the law, I'm just going to operate my business the way it is, and if I get sued, I get sued. And then when they're out of business, they wish they would have done it different. So, know the rules. Kind of plays in with the award a little bit. High touch. Boy, are we in the high-tech world or what? But I really, really think that for businesses to succeed in the fast and furious paced world that we have today, you better return to high touch. And by that I mean, think about today. There's somebody you've been meaning to talk to. I wish you would all just, during the day sometime, maybe when you're in your car, assuming you have hands-free, get in your car and call the person. Just say, I just wanted to check in. Whether it's a client you haven't seen for a while, whether it's a new client that you want to make sure that service you gave them last month worked. Whatever it is, I think we need to return to high touch. I will write 4 or 5 thank you notes on the flight back to Sacramento today. Just notes about people that I've talked with and met with, and things that I've seen over the last week or so. Just writing them a handwritten note. I got one last week, and it was at the top of the mail that came into my office from my assistant. So not only did she know I wanted to see it first, but it was first, and I went through it first and foremost before anything else in my gift basket. So think about those personal notes that you could send as well. And just say thanks. Is Senator Richard Roth in the room? Okay, I want you all to tell him this. Because how important it is to say thanks to any elected official, mayor, council member. When you all do a good job, the rest of the people in this room shouldn't take you for granted on the next vote. They should say thank you to you. And if Richard Roth were in the room right now, I would say thank you, Richard, for the votes that you've done for this community in the state capitol, being one of the most business-friendly legislators in the state. And so that's my thanks, my shout out to Senator Richard Roth. Nothing's better than high touch and saying thanks. Don't be afraid to ask. I have a friend of mine that's a business consultant. He says he gets most of his leads from clergy members. Because clergy members happen to know when somebody in their congregation is in trouble, but the people in their congregation are afraid to ask for help. So I'm telling all of you, don't let it get really bad. When you need help, turn to the resources in the room like this. I think actually asking for help is a sign of strength. It's not a sign of weakness. You'll be amazed the things you can get done if you just ask. Whether it's raising money for the events, the people that have talked prior to me here today, if you just ask, isn't it amazing that somebody will write the check? If you just ask somebody for advice, it's amazing what you can get free if you just buy somebody a cup of coffee or a drink in the President's Lounge or whatever, the information that they can give you. I've had the pleasure of being asked to be on an advisory board of a small company. It's not a board, it doesn't pay, it was a half a day, bought my lunch, and asked me questions what I would do if I were in their spot. Don't be afraid to ask. There's tons of talent out there, and it could really reap benefits for your business. Be willing to take risks, but more importantly, confidence comes from not always being right, but from not fearing to be wrong. If I try all kinds of things at the California Chamber to raise money and to build membership. I fail more than I succeed, but I learn from the failure and I'm able to move on to the next thing and succeed. And so, as this slide says, it says, you go first, Dave, and there's the splat sign there. Well, sometimes it's not going to work, but not being fearful of failing and taking risks and not doing the same old thing and looking for new ways to do it. And when those ideas do pay off, they pay off really big. And we had a few this last year that paid off and reaped many new members for the California Chamber because of it. But we're willing to try again. So that's our tip there on tip number 4, willing to take risks. Relationships matter. I think that's why most of you are in the room here today, is you understand that relationships matter. You also maybe understand the concept of brand you. Whether you like it or not, and it's not fair, a lot of the business you get is directly because of you. They're buying you. They're buying the relationship that they have with you, the trust they have with you. When you leave, there are many companies that have a real tough time staying where they are, much less going forward, because the people and the customers that they had were buying you. And so, and I know it's maybe not fair, but please understand that fact. Tom Peters talks about it all the time. This is one of his older books, about 10 years old, Reimagined. But in Peter's book, he goes into this in a very big way. If you get your Kindle out and take a look at Reimagine, there's a whole big segment on brand you, and I would encourage you to take a look at that. And build your team, and make sure that they understand the importance of brand you as well. My 6th and probably last, because I'm not going to have that music go off, I hope. Okay. Because I am very nervous about that, because I don't want to let Cindy down and get her. But business-life balance. This is going to sound like the old guy from Sacramento, preaching on how to live your life. And if it comes across that way, okay. I don't really care, but I believe in this so much. As Colin Powell says, take leave when you've earned it. I work with people that we have to force them to take vacation. And it's like, come on, we are going to get by without you. Please take your vacation days. Now I work with other people that have no vacation days at all. They take every one of them, every sick leave day, everything imaginable. So you can take it to the extreme too and have nothing in the bank. But really, this business life balance thing is really, really important. If I hear one more person tell me I'm too busy, I think I'm going to scream. Because are you really that busy? Or are you getting immersed in stuff that you may think is important, but you really haven't taken care of the stuff that's really important? I kind of think that this cartoon says it all. It says, hey Dad, you're missing some really swell throw-in weather. Now if I were talking to a group of chamber executives, I would say, you know what, you need to make sure that your staff has the ability to actually be a parent. You need to make sure that they get to the places that they need to be at. The chamber will be there when they come back from the holiday event at kindergarten. I mean, you need to make sure that you have a workplace culture that encourages people to have business-life balance. And again, I've seen, not just in the chamber industry, but in all of my places that I've worked and been, I have seen families destroyed because of somebody is addicted to work and hasn't taken care of the family. And the things that are really important, isn't really the job. My daughter, who's 28 years old, just came back from her 10-year high school reunion. And she showed up and said, Dad, I want to tell you something. And she's never really told me this before. My sons, who played baseball, have told me something like this, but my daughter hadn't. And she was a cheerleader her entire 4 years of high school. And she was the cheerleading captain her senior year. And Dad would show up at halftime to see, at least for halftime, to see the halftime show. And then often Dad would go back to work. I wasn't really there to see the basketball game. I was there to see my daughter, to see the performance at halftime. Well, she said to me that her friends made the comment that they thought it was so cool, to use the word that the mayor brought to our attention. It was so cool that Aaron's parents were at every basketball game, home or away. And that Aaron's dad, oftentimes, was the only dad in the stands. Now, I'm not trying to be dad of the year. I'm never going to be dad of the year. But the thing I'm trying to get across to you is you may not think these things are important. You may think that being at work or having that business lunch is really, really important. I'm telling you, you only have one shot at being there at the holiday kindergarten event at the school, or being at the halftime performance to see your daughter cheerlead. So again, without trying to sound too much like the old guy from Sacramento, and again, there's about 8 other reminders for success that I could go into. I just wanted to share these with you because I think it's real important in this fierce, fast-paced, mobile, everybody on their phone world that we're living in, to actually step back a little bit and live some life. And if you're successful in life, you're going to be really, really successful in business. Thank you for having me with you.